Well, look, last night was tremendous. It was great to see Ray Allen there, Reggie Miller on the call, TNT, the NBA, the Madison Square Garden to stop the game. It was great, all right? But let's just keep it real. It was overblown, all right? He didn't break Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's scoring record. He didn't even break John Stockton's assist record. That's what happened last night. I would expect to see when those records fall, if anyone ever gets to Stockton or Kareem.
The assist record?
All right, this was more like, yeah, the assist record will be big. I think that's second. Rebounds, nobody's getting near Wilt or Russell. Yes, yeah, because Stockton's put it so far out of reach. However, let me get back to my point. This was more Wild's like the steals record. It's nice. All right, he broke the steals record. Great, hurrah. But, I mean, it's a little overblown. But let me say this, because I love Steph. I firmly believe, maybe I'm wrong, but I firmly believe I was the first one way back in 2015 on national TV to say he was the best shooter ever. I really think I was the first one to say that. So I've been saying it for a long time. But Wilds, I think the reason that this was so overdone and overblown by everyone is because it was an official acknowledgement of two things. One, as I said, Steph is the greatest shooter ever. Everybody's been saying that now for several years. Last night was the official acknowledgement of it. And two, that this guy has changed the game more than so many other people. Like, it was an official acknowledgement of how much he changed the game. I would say Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell, Dr. J, Julius Erving, Magic and Bird, because they were big men who played on the perimeter, shot the ball, made plays, all that stuff, and Steph. Now, that doesn't mean they're the best. Obviously, I didn't mention Jordan and LeBron. But as far as literally changing the game, Steph Curry is right there with those guys. And I think last night was overdone because it was an acknowledgement of that. Look at this graphic. The number of three-pointers attempted per game in the NBA when Steph began shooting a lot, when he broke Ray Allen's three-point mark for threes made in a season, teams were averaging 18 three-pointers a game that year. Now they're averaging 35 three-point attempts per game. That's an increase of 7. It's basically doubling it. And all of that is due to Steph Curry. So that was an acknowledgement of what he's done. I think that's why it was so overblown.
So, a couple things. One is, Broussard was, because I keep track of these things, the first person to call Steph the greatest shooter ever. It got overshadowed because then Mark Jackson, on the same network you were on, tried to steal your thunder and called Steph and Clay the greatest backcourt ever. Everyone focused on that. Mark Jackson was maybe right. Broussard was definitely right. So I'll give you credit there. It's unfortunate now folks will just be like, man, Broussard really just, bleeped all over Steph this morning just for no reason. Said, who cares about the record? Might as well be the free throws record. But no, you were. I remember when you said it. People don't know. I've been a fan of Chris Broussard from afar. Now I just argue with him about takes. But all that's true. But there's two things I want to say here. And I know nobody wants math in the morning. But I want people to understand this. If this record is ever broken, the person who breaks it is not currently in the NBA. I would bet my life on that. The numbers here, people are bad at math and they don't get it. A little context. Steph now has made more threes than KD and Kyrie combined, while shooting fewer threes in his career than James Harden has. Okay? Steph is right around 3,000 now. He'll finish his career, let's assume, right around 5,000. So how are you going to, what would it take to break it? All right, well, here's simple. How about 300 threes a season for 17 years? Well, I guess somebody maybe could play 17 years. I don't know. What about hitting 300 threes? The full list of human beings alive who have ever hit 300, not 400, 300 threes in a season. Steph Curry, 4 times. James Harden, once. That's your list. Nick, what about Trae Young? Trae Young's career high in threes is 205. Trae would need to hit 300 threes a year for the next 15 years to get to where Steph's going to leave this record. No one is going to break Ray Allen's record again, other than Harden, for the next decade. That's just the math of it, guys. So this is, I don't know if it's unbreakable, but if it's going to be broken, it's not by Luka, it's not by Donovan, it's not by Trey. It's by someone who either hasn't been born yet or isn't in the league yet. That's the first point. Second point is this, Wilds, and this is why I think it's special, but also why, in a weird way, Steph is sometimes maybe underrated. It's inarguable, and it might be the only thing in sports that's inarguable. Steph Curry, greatest shooter ever. If I were to say to you, who's the best baseball player ever, you might get 10 different names. Even your guy, GOAT, Tom Brady. If you ask 100 football fans who's the greatest quarterback ever, some would argue Peyton Manning. And they'd have a legitimate argument. I'm not saying you'd agree with it, but you can make the case, right? Someone could make the case that as far as what they, or Joe Montana, somebody might even say Johnny Unitas. There is, the greatest basketball player ever is a hotly contested debate. There is no argument for anyone else. Okay, but you guys, all right, you're being funny. But it's debated. It's debated. There is no argument. This is the only thing I get and compare it to is what, Secretariat and horse racing, I guess. But people don't have a bunch of those debates. Gretzky and hockey, I don't know, maybe. It's greatest shooter ever with no counterpoint. It's one of the only undebatable things in sports, Wilds.
That's good. That's solid. For a debate show, that was a good non-debate point. So I want to get back to what you said and a little bit of what Broussard said. Even for a non-debate show. So you said if someone's going to break this record, they haven't been born yet or they're not currently in the league. The ultimate, I'll take the field. They haven't been born yet. And I'll just take all of eternity. So here's why I think Steph changed the game, because you heard a lot of Steph changed the game, Steph changed the game. But it feels like everyone is talking about the peak of the basketball mountaintop, which is the NBA. The mountain of basketball is gigantic. And Steph's most, I think, important or impactful change of the game starts down here. It's at the bottom. It's where everyone else plays. It's how kids play. Quick story, I played 2-on-2 with some kids. I'm like, these kids don't look that good. They're 19 years old. I call 19-year-olds kids. And they're taking shots from so far away. I'm like, what is happening? This is a totally different game than the one that I grew up with. Everyone from a generation of older than me kind of grew up modeling their game after Dr. J. Everyone, literally everyone in the planet who's my age modeled their game after Jordan. The best person who modeled their game after Jordan was Kobe Bryant. He literally became as close to Michael Jordan as you could possibly get. And your game centers around getting to the basket, athleticism, and little mid-ranges. But now, for the kids that are playing right now basketball, it is not only take a lot of threes, which this record was, it's go further and further back, and that is now a good shot. A shot that us on this show literally never grew up taking one of. Like, Broussard, when you were growing up, you were like, you know where I'm going to shoot from? 30 feet. Not as a joke. But kids are currently doing that. And that's how I think Steph has changed the game and impacted the game at the most minor league and roots level.
Here we go.
Go ahead.
Jenna, when Broussard was growing up, though,
I was too busy dunking. I was too busy going to the rack dunking on people.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.